We need to talk about the shocking story of the missing girl who was discovered lifeless inside singer David's car. Overnight, he was labeled a predator, vilified by the internet, and his career was torn to pieces before he could even speak. But today, the FBI revealed a truth no one was prepared for. Celeste Rivas did not die by someone's hands. She died from an overdose. That revelation cleared David of the crime that had already condemned him in the court of public opinion. Yet now, a darker question lingers. If he was never guilty, how did the world become so certain that he was? The twist came during a press conference that felt like a movie scene. Cameras flashed, reporters whispered, and every outlet tuned in as the FBI chief approached the podium. After weeks of speculation and endless accusations, his words dropped like thunder. The same world that had branded David a monster was now forced to face the uncomfortable truth: how easily outrage had replaced evidence. After a thorough review of all available evidence, federal officials made their position clear. There would be no criminal charges filed against David Anthony Burke, known to the world simply as David. Authorities confirmed he was not a suspect and held no criminal record tied to the case. The announcement rippled through social media like a shockwave, freezing the relentless tide of accusations that had already branded the 20-year-old musician as a murderer and predator. For weeks, his reputation had been torn apart by viral posts, dissected lyrics, and supposed proof dug up by online detectives. But now, the truth was far more devastating than the fiction the internet had crafted. Celeste Rivas, the 15-year-old girl found lifeless inside David's Tesla, had died from a drug overdose. When the Los Angeles County Medical Examiner released the autopsy, the conclusion was undeniable. There were no signs of strangulation, stabbing, or any violent assault, only a deadly mix of opioids and depressants coursing through her system. It was the same kind of toxic combination that has claimed countless young lives amid America's ongoing drug crisis. Though her body was discovered in a disturbing state, badly decomposed and partially dismembered, investigators could not find any solid proof linking those injuries directly to David. In fact, several forensic experts theorized that the damage may have occurred after death, possibly by someone attempting to hide the tragedy rather than commit a deliberate act of violence. This revelation upended the narrative millions had already accepted as truth. David had been crucified in the digital court of outrage long before science had its say. But the evidence painted a different picture, one rooted in addiction, despair, and misjudgment rather than celebrity-driven crime. Still, the FBI's clarification arrived amid an atmosphere thick with anger and disbelief. Many questioned why the truth had taken so long to emerge. Officials claimed that the online chaos, the flood of rumors, leaks, and half-truths, forced them to verify every claim meticulously. Investigators combed through piles of data, Discord chats supposedly linking David to Celeste, cryptic lyrics fans thought were confessions, and even eerie tattoo similarities between the two. In the end, none of it held up. The Tesla may have been registered in his name, but that alone did not prove guilt. Digital records placed David miles away, performing on tour at the estimated time of death. By the time the FBI intervened, local police were already overwhelmed by public pressure and tabloid hysteria demanding an arrest. Online detectives continued tearing apart his music videos and social posts, determined to find something sinister. Yet the federal inquiry made it plain: there was no evidence of a crime, no charges, and no official suspect. Legal experts had warned all along: suspicion is not the same as proof. Still, the internet refused to let go. The story had become too intoxicating to release. Viral clips of the Tesla being hauled away, neighbors whispering about strange odors, and teachers recalling Celeste's troubled past continued to circulate. Even after the truth surfaced, people kept clinging to the idea of a darker secret. One viral report summed up the obsession perfectly. We now know who the victim is: a 15-year-old girl named Celeste Rivas, missing for over a year, found in the car of a famous singer. That haunting image was too powerful for the public to forget. Even with the autopsy settled, whispers of grooming and manipulation refused to fade. What made this tragedy so magnetic was not only the heartbreak of a young life lost, but the strange, intimate threads connecting her to the pop star. Celeste's mother revealed a haunting detail. Her daughter had a small tattoo on her finger, nearly identical to one David bore on his right hand. That single image reignited the speculation, reminding the world that while the science had spoken, the story, at least in the public's mind, was far from over. It was not mere coincidence. It was identical, the same tattoo inked in black on the same finger as Celeste's, a detail that sent the internet spiraling. Old photos of David soon surfaced, confirming the eerie similarity, and just as speculation peaked, an unreleased track titled Celeste leaked online. Its dark lyrics about secrecy, obsession, and flashing police lights, especially the line, "Nobody ever caught me," were instantly interpreted as a confession. Media outlets ran with it, and soon after, alleged Discord screenshots emerged, appearing to show David chatting late at night with minors, mentioning Celeste by name, and joking in ways that felt unsettling. In an online world hypersensitive to celebrity grooming scandals, those unverified images were enough to condemn him. The narrative of a predator solidified before any facts could catch up, and by the time the autopsy proved it was an overdose, his career had already crumbled. Concerts were canceled, sponsorships disappeared, and brands like Hollister, Crocs, and even singer Kay Uchis cut all ties. The story no longer belonged to him. It was no longer the David scandal. The internet had rewritten it as the Celeste Hernandez case, ensuring that her name, not his, carried the legacy of a tragedy that blurred the line between truth and accusation. Global media quickly captured the narrative shift. For many, it felt like a small justice for Celeste, her story no longer overshadowed by the celebrity attached to her death. But for David, the fallout was ruinous. Even cleared of guilt, his name and hers were now bound together in tragedy. As the FBI chief wrapped up the press conference, he issued a somber warning about the danger of viral judgment. This is why due process exists. Internet trials are not justice. His words were sharp, yet they barely cut through the noise. On Reddit and other online spaces, discussions raged on, threads accusing David of being a serial predator, users analyzing lyrics and outfits for hidden meanings, each beating the next. Facts no longer mattered as much as the allure of a narrative already sealed in the public mind: a rising star, a dead teenage girl, and whispers of forbidden love. Even though the autopsy confirmed overdose and the FBI cleared him, emotion overpowered evidence. What should have been the end of the story became only the beginning. The law had exonerated David, but the internet refused to release him. The questions now grew heavier. How had a series of online whispers turned into a full-blown national scandal? How had private Discord chats evolved into supposed courtroom evidence? Why did millions believe so easily that a young artist was capable of murder? To understand that, one has to rewind to the moment everything began, to the screenshots, the speculation, and the wildfire of outrage that consumed the story. Before the truth emerged, David was not seen as a victim of hysteria, but as the villain in a chilling modern parable. The shift began with a discovery in Los Angeles, but it quickly expanded into something far larger: a perfect collision of online culture, celebrity fascination, and a collective instinct to assume the worst. It started as so many digital scandals do, with screenshots. Not a handful, but hundreds of alleged messages that flooded X, formerly Twitter, TikTok, and Reddit within hours of Celeste's body being identified. Many appeared harmless at first, light banter between a popular musician and his fans, but soon, a darker tone surfaced. Some of the screenshots allegedly showed David acknowledging that he was speaking with minors while continuing the exchanges in flirtatious tones. Others contained references to Celeste herself, suggesting she had been orbiting his life long before the tragedy. The timing made it explosive. The case was still unfolding, emotions were raw, and people were desperate for a villain. Those images spread faster than any official statement could catch up, transforming a developing investigation into a digital witch hunt. Suddenly, this was not just about a missing girl found in a car, it was about grooming, manipulation, and obsession. The internet had found its storyline, and no one wanted to look away. Then, just as the fire began to rage, the unreleased track Celeste resurfaced, an eerie song buried deep in fan forums. Its lyrics, filled with secrecy and longing, became the final spark. Every word was dissected, every beat treated like a confession, and before anyone could question the truth, the court of public opinion had already declared its verdict. The lyric, "Nobody Ever Caught Me," along with references to tattoos and images of isolation, was torn from its musical setting and reframed as a confession. Publications like the New York Post seized on the leak, transforming what was once a forgotten demo called Little Heard into supposed evidence in a digital courtroom. In a culture that reads every lyric as autobiography, listeners took the song as an outright admission of guilt. Then came the tattoo, the eerie symbol that fueled the obsession. Celeste's mother revealed her daughter had inked a small design on her finger, one strikingly similar to the tattoo David wore in the same spot. Within hours, side-by-side photos flooded X with captions like, "What more proof do you need?" The image was intoxicating, a mark shared in secrecy, a bond immortalized in ink. The fact that similar tattoos were common meant nothing online. All that mattered was that this one belonged to a girl now dead. Soon after, alleged Discord logs began spreading through forums, claiming to show David chatting with underage fans as far back as 2023. In one conversation, he supposedly continued speaking after a girl revealed she was 14. Another message allegedly mentioned Celeste by name. When the Economic Times covered the resurfaced chats, their legitimacy seemed confirmed, even though authenticity remained in question. But online, nuance was irrelevant. The logs were accepted as proof. Within days, hashtags like #JusticeForCeleste and #DavidO's dominated timelines. Every corner of the internet hosted self-proclaimed investigators connecting that might not have existed. TikTok creators released multi-part exposés stitching together lyrics, screenshots, and old photos. Reddit threads compiled lists of alleged victims, while hip-hop forums treated the speculation like a crowdsourced case file. What made the frenzy so powerful was not just belief, it was participation. People felt they were uncovering the truth themselves. Mainstream media followed close behind. Outlets like NBC News confirmed the tragic facts. Celeste's body had indeed been found in David's Tesla. But tabloids such as The Sun and Daily Mail blurred fact and fiction until rumor and reporting became indistinguishable. By the time People and Variety ran headlines about police searches at his Los Angeles home, public opinion had already solidified. The story's grip deepened when a viral video clip surfaced of a classmate recounting, "She met this dude online. He was a rapper from LA. She ran away. The cops found her, brought her back, and she told everyone what happened." It was a simple retelling, but one that sealed the narrative in the minds of millions long before the truth had a chance to speak. As 2024 faded into 2025, the once brilliant story of David began to darken, not through one explosive event, but through murmurs, screenshots, and unease that slowly took shape online. What began as harmless fan engagement on his Discord server evolved into a breeding ground for suspicion. Whispers claimed that some of the girls he chatted with were underage. Supporters rushed to defend him, pointing out that he, too, had been a teenager when those conversations first began. Yet the tone of certain exchanges felt heavy, uncomfortable, too intimate for comfort. Then came the screenshots, private messages appearing on obscure forums, girls claiming to be 14 or 15, sometimes even younger. For every plea of innocence, another set of receipts surfaced, deepening the unease. But everything changed with the disappearance of Celeste Rivas Hernandez. Reported missing from Riverside County in April 2024, Celeste's case began like so many others: flyers, desperate family appeals, and a growing void of answers. For months, she remained just another name on California's growing list of missing teens. The public moved on, but her family never did. Then, in September 2025, the unthinkable happened. Los Angeles police impounded a Tesla registered to David, parked quietly in the Hollywood Hills. Inside, they made a discovery that would shatter the internet. In the trunk lay human remains, badly decomposed, nearly unrecognizable. Forensic testing confirmed what no one wanted to believe. It was Celeste, the girl who had vanished over a year earlier. The reaction was instantaneous and global. News stations scrambled for footage, reporters filled the streets, and stunned neighbors described the awful stench that had hung in the air for days. That quiet Los Angeles block became ground zero for one of the most disturbing celebrity scandals in recent memory. While the LAPD stopped short of naming a suspect, the world had already decided who it believed. Fans who once adored David struggled to process the shock. Critics, on the other hand, claimed vindication. Every rumor, every leaked message, every cryptic lyric suddenly seemed to click into place. The dots formed a chilling picture. Then came the leaks. An unreleased track titled Celeste resurfaced online. Its haunting lyrics about secrecy, flashing lights, and the line "nobody ever caught me," now interpreted as a sinister confession. Media outlets like the New York Post amplified the story, branding the song as evidence. And as if that weren't enough, a new detail pushed the narrative further into nightmare territory. Celeste's mother revealed her daughter had a small tattoo on her finger, the word "SH" etched in black ink, a detail that would soon echo in ways no one could have imagined. When photos emerged showing David with the exact same tattoo as Celeste, etched on the same finger, in the same style, the internet lost its collective breath. To many, it wasn't coincidence, it was connection. Proof of something private, intimate, and unspoken, now carved permanently into skin. The Economic Times fanned the flames by highlighting the eerie link, and suddenly, truth and theory became indistinguishable. What began as curiosity exploded into chaos. Devoted fans who once defended him switched sides overnight. His Discord server turned into a digital crime scene, dissected message by message. Screenshots resurfaced of conversations with girls claiming to be minors, and news outlets rushed to turn every whisper into a headline. One viral clip, dissecting a past live stream, claimed to show him warning moderators to delete recordings afterward, a detail instantly reframed as suspicious. From there, the internet's machinery went into full motion. Reddit threads swelled with speculation. Hashtags like #JusticeForCeleste flooded X, and TikTok creators produced elaborate exposés stitching together lyrics, live streams, and old tweets into digital evidence boards. Before police could issue a single official update, the verdict online was unanimous. David was guilty. Brands didn't hesitate. Hollister and Crocs erased him from campaigns. Keuchis scrapped their upcoming collaboration. Festival organizers quietly dropped his name from lineups. The downfall was swift, brutal, and total. Amid the frenzy, Celeste's family issued a heartbreaking statement, confirming her identity, thanking supporters, and pleading for justice. Global news covered their grief, amplifying the human cost behind the hashtags. Yet, even then, the tragedy was overshadowed by the spectacle. A 15-year-old girl had died, but the conversation centered on blame, fame, and scandal. Was David a predator? Or simply a young artist caught in the crossfire of an online moral war? The nuance was drowned out by noise. The public had already chosen its villain. By the time the FBI confirmed there would be no charges, and the autopsy ruled Celeste's death an overdose, the damage was irreversible. Facts arrived too late to rewrite the story the internet had already decided. David's meteoric rise, from a bedroom artist to a generational voice, was buried under the weight of suspicion and outrage. Now, his name lived in infamy, tethered forever to a tragedy he didn't cause. For Celeste's family, grief remained raw and endless. For David, the exoneration felt hollow, a legal victory overshadowed by cultural condemnation. And for the world watching, the saga stood as a haunting reflection of the times, how easily a story can spin, how quickly empathy turns to accusation, and how, in the rush to assign guilt, the truth becomes the first casualty. Celeste's life, her disappearance, and the tragedy of her overdose remain the emotional center of this entire story. Yet the way it unraveled, through leaked messages, lyrics, matching tattoos, and a celebrity at its core, transformed it into something far bigger than a single case. It became a cultural mirror, reflecting how in today's digital age, truth is no longer decided solely in courtrooms or autopsy reports. It's shaped by viral threads, trending hashtags, and the narratives people are most eager to believe. And that is why, even after the FBI's confirmation and the medical examiner's findings, doubt continues to hover in the air. Because once a story takes on a life of its own online, even the truth struggles to be heard. Will the world ever truly see David as innocent? Or has the internet already written his ending? If this story gripped you, tap the cards on your screen for more.